Well, greetings everybody. It's Sunday, November 30th, 2014, and I did not want to let the weekend fully escape until I had a chance to get this weekend trader out to everybody. It's a little darker than normal. It's almost 4 o'clock. The sun is going down sooner, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday on the East Coast. And I struggled this weekend with what to talk about. This is if we're trying to get back to the roots of this blog, and this has always been as much me talking to myself as anything. Whether it was the diary, the written diary, the video diary, what have you, and that's gonna kind of be what I do here today again, which is talking to myself and trying to understand when I've been able to cross that razor thin line from extreme mediocrity and spinning your wheels, both in life and in trading, by the way, to the other side of that line where you've got things going well. You're showing consistent success both in life and in your trading world. After all, this is a trading blog, but you know that I feel that they're completely intertwined. So it's interesting because we've got a sporting event coming up here. At least I do with Packers Patriots shortly, which should be a heck of a game. And you've got in sports and in trading, there's a set of rules. And, a football field, 100 yards long. There's a certain amount of time allowed for the game. There's certain rules, things you can or can't do, just like trading. But how do you get from there to the very small group that shows consistent success over on this side of the spectrum? And we've talked before many times that studies have shown that there is at least a 90% failure rate in this business. And before some of you go, oh, here's Don being all doom and gloom and negative again. Let's turn that around and say, how do you get to be that 10% or less than 10% of the people that are tremendously successful? And you can see this in sports. You look at the dynasties over the years. You look at the teams that have demonstrated tremendous success over an extended period of time, and what makes that happen for them? Whether it's the Celtics of the '60s or the Canadians of the hockey world of the '70s and beyond, or the Patriots. They haven't won a Super Bowl in almost a decade, believe it or not, but they still have this continual degree of success, and this life is not over about seeking perfection. It's about trying to grow in yourself and keep yourself along a certain road. And so how do you become that small group in sports and in trading of consistently demonstrating success? There's a gap. You have the rules here. You have all the ABCs of trading. The rules of trading, they're not that many. I could probably put everything I think you need to know. I did this in New York a few years ago. I called it the kindergarten slide. Everything I needed to learn about trading, I learned in kindergarten. And that continues to hold true. There's only 4 or 5 things that you need to understand in this business. The set of rules, the parameters, if you will. Okay. So how do you go from that simple set of rules, just like in sports, to this small group over here? How can that gap be that large, and what can we do to fill it? And I've said this before. I'm on both sides, right? I can get in a zone where I'm over here, and you can't get me out of here. And then I can be in this spinning wheel or this plateau zone for whatever reason. And so, when I look at my trading, and I look at my life and maybe interferences or I've got to try to identify when I'm over here in the spinning wheel mode, how to get back over here and how to stay there. And I think it's a journey of self-discovery. I don't want to say it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because sometimes you're going to see 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. And I think it all gets back to making the most out of the opportunity that you're presented. When are you in that optimal zone for the trading world? When are you in that optimal zone for life? Because we all know that we don't know how long either one of those is going to last, whether it's our trading career or the trading zone that we're in, or our life or that life zone that we're in. Any of this could be taken away at any point in time, and I look to to MF Global as being a great example for me from a business perspective. And I've written about that ad infinitum, and it's certainly devoted a good section of the book to that, because it was an important piece of my life and my trading life that made me see this business through a little bit of a different lens and a little bit more clear. And I'm trying to certainly look at the industry in a positive light. I've got some personal goals that I've put upon myself for the next year. We're about a month away from New Year's resolutions. Well, it's not too early to start any time really. So there's a lot of things that I want to do in terms of mind and body, and eat better and eat healthier and slow my mind down and slow my pace down. And I've got some specific goals that we'll talk about as we near the end of the year that I'm already trying to start on. But it's I've got to do that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I've got to continually look at my road and my self-discovery. And again, you can be on both sides of the line. There's no magic out there. Again, I try very, very hard, and I probably don't do the greatest job at it, of bringing reality into this business. And I still see that that's the piece that's missing. There's so much, and there's a lot of good stuff out there, guys and gals, on technical analysis and trading, although I vehemently disagree with how some are done and how some are portrayed. But I also admit that nothing's perfect, and so that the blend of what we have available to us as traders, the balance that's out there, it's certainly caveat emptor, as we talked about a while ago, but there's good out there. There is wheat and there is chaff, and you've got to separate the two. But the reality of this business is that you don't know how long you're going to be in any one of these spots, and you could say that for a trade sequence, and so when does it all come together? And getting back to what we talked about earlier, how do we bridge that gap? I had some great discussions with a very close friend of mine who is I believe him to be, I kind of dab him as my spiritual mentor, and he's a fellow Christian, and we talk back and forth. Typically, it's every Sunday night. We Skype, and it's kind of a combination accountability session for each of us, and just a little bit of prodding each other and encouraging each other as well. And we asked the questions a few months ago of each other. It says, how long can you stay in that zone? Is it possible to stay in one of these zones, whether it's a life zone, a spiritual zone, or a trading zone, for an extended period of time? And as you grow in your faith, for example, we all continue to fail and stumble and bumble, but do those times shorten, and do the times of being in that right place lengthen? And I have to believe that the answer to that is yes. And I think that's the journey, that's the road that gets you from this place of mediocrity in trading and in life to this other place. And how long can you stay in that mindset? How long can you stay in that place? I don't think there's an answer to that, but I do believe that you'll find yourself able to spend more time in that life and more time in that place than you did over here. And there's going to be this constant going back and forth. And we came to the conclusion, obviously, that it's impossible to stay in a certain frame of mind, in a certain place, especially in the physical sense and in the career sense, because your body ages, situations change, conditions change, and it's about certainly recognizing that and recognizing our human limitations, but still working within those limitations. I go back to sports for a second. Larry Bird, one of the greatest NBA athletes ever. He started having back issues after a while, so he had to do some things that allowed him to still be successful. He had to use his mind a lot more than he could use his body, and you see that with a lot of other athletes as well, where we have to continually morph ourselves, not only based on how the environment is morphing, let's say the trading world, but how our bodies and our minds are morphing over time. I wrote in one of the post that's gotten one of the most play, or some of the most play, in the blog a few years ago, December 19th, 2008, when I really just called it a year at that point. And I had to go back to certainly Ecclesiastes 9:12, which states that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor does food come to the wise, or wealth, or to the brilliant, or favor the learned, but time and chance happen to them all. And that was important to me because it was a reminder that, we all will experience degrees of success in this life, and we will all experience certainly degrees of failure and heartache. And it's up to us certainly to recognize that because we're up here or down here, um, you know, there's no getting crazy about either one of those spots, because there's an evolution that goes like this over life, and hopefully again you're spending more time in this other place than you may have in the past. But this is not. I do this because I love this business, and it's a great way for me to go through some self-reflection. That's how going back public again in 2007 really came about, because it was wanting me to step up my efforts in journaling and documenting, and then that kind of took on a life of its own as I allowed people to look over my shoulder. Um, as I've said before, I'm far from the greatest trader. I'm far from the greatest human being. I don't know where I stand on, here versus here, and that's irrelevant. All I know is that this business is one that provides us tremendous opportunity, but it also has proven tremendous challenges. And for some of us, the decision that we have to make is how long do we go after this? How long do we try to bridge that gap? You know, is this a God-given talent, or a talent that with His help that can be acquired and the help of everyone here, or is it something that you've got to just cut bait, fish or cut bait? And that's something that we all have to answer individually. When do we stop doing this and start doing something else? I think I see myself forever being involved in the markets, but I don't know if that's where I'm destined to be. I know that we continue to try to do some good with this, but I also know it has its faults. I know there's a segment of people out there, a pocket of people that can't stand anything that I'm involved in, and I respect that, and I love them. That's the way that we have to look at this life. I may not agree with them, and I may violently disagree in terms of philosophy, but that's okay, because we are all in this together. And as competitive as sports may be, and as competitive as trading may be, ultimately this life is about trying our best to help each other, and to share our experiences such that others can at least, as I've said before, not fall in the same crevices that we've broken our legs by falling into. So again, I'm probably getting a little more philosophical than I planned, but the idea was to ask myself the question: how do I bridge this gap between here and here? Especially as I've gotten older now. I'm 53, not as mentally adapted as I used to be. I've got to do better with my diet and with my health and with my working out, and there's a lot that I can do there. There's a lot more I can do in terms of focusing. There's a lot more I can do in so many areas, just like in life. But I do agree with my friend Bill, getting back to this fellow that I speak with pretty much on a weekly basis, in that it may not be impossible, or it may be impossible to stay in that certain frame of mind for a long time. But the periods that we're in there tend to grow over time. We'll all have setbacks, but until you find that spot in your trading career, or that spot in your life where you kind of got things figured out, and you're able to stay in that mindset and grow and mature, then that's where I think you really evolve to that next level, whether it be trading life or that which happens after this life. So those are some thoughts for this weekend. Take it for what it's worth. If it gets you thinking, great. If not, that's okay too. Maybe we'll come up with something next week. So God bless you all. Have a great trading week. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving in the U.S. and around the world. And we'll talk to you next week. Take care. Bye.